taking our feet as wide as our mat and just letting our knees fall together. Now, if this is uncomfortable for you, if this puts any kind of strain on your knees or even your low back, feel free just to keep your knees about hips width distance apart and heading straight up towards the ceiling. So just take a few minutes and come into your breath. You can rest your hands on your belly or at your sides, wherever it's comfortable for you. And let's just take a few minutes to come into our breath and come into our space. Inhaling in through your nose and out. Inhaling in through your nose and out. One more time. Inhale, real big deep breath here. Inhaling for 3, 2, 1, and exhaling for 3, 2, and 1. And come back to your normal breath, your natural rhythm. And come to your mat. Come to your space, the room that you're in. And know that while you're on your mat, you're in your sacred space. You're in a space without judgment. You're in a space without expectation. You're in a space of love and compassion. Gift yourself loving kindness, allowing yourself to modify, change, or even skip any pose offered to you today that does not serve you. And know that in doing so, you're taking care of your body. You're listening to your body and giving it exactly what it needs in that moment. And as you're ready, blink your eyes open. Take your feet back to hips width distance apart. Keeping your left knee bent, foot flat on the mat. Take your right ankle, cross it over your left knee for a supine pigeon pose. Now, this might be enough for you right here, and that is perfectly fine. Stay right here, maybe taking your right hand and giving some gentle pressure to your right knee to open that right hip up a little more. Or if you'd like to go a step further, bring your left knee in towards your chest, grabbing your left leg behind the hamstring, or maybe even in front of your shin. Breathing here for a few breaths, inhaling and exhaling. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Now take your left foot down flat on the mat. Take your right foot and press the sole of that right foot up towards the ceiling, grabbing either your foot, your ankle, or even your calf, and just gently pressing that foot down towards your mat. Half happy baby. If possible, you can keep your elbow inside of your knee, and just let your left leg fall out to the sides, just as a little counterbalance. And inhale here, just a couple of breaths here, and exhale. Inhale and exhale, and let's switch sides. So take your right foot down to the mat, knee bent. Cross your left ankle over your right knee for our supine pigeon, staying here if you would like, or bringing that right knee in towards your chest. Breathing here, inhaling and exhale. Inhale and exhale, and one more breath. And bringing that right foot down to the mat, half happy baby on the left side, left sole of foot towards your ceiling, gentle pressure on the foot, and letting your right knee open up a little bit to the side to counterbalance. A couple of inhales here. And exhale. And one more inhale. And exhale. Bring your left foot back down to the mat. Bring Your knees into your chest. Roll over to one side and come up to seated position for a seated butterfly pose. Now this butterfly pose is going to be more of a yin style butterfly pose, a very relaxed pose with not a whole lot of effort in it. So keep your feet out wider in front of you as opposed to bringing them in closer, making like a diamond shape from your toes to your knees to your hips. Resting your hands on your calves. Inhale, just lengthen through your spine here, and then as you exhale, just let your hands walk forward, rounding through your back. Let your head hang and just relax down. Gentle, very restorative, relaxing version of a butterfly fold. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale here a couple more times, a few more breaths. One more breath. Walk your hands back up. Bring your knees to your hands. Bring your knees in. Just swing your legs back behind you. And come to all fours for a tabletop position. Your wrists under your shoulders, fingers spread wide so you can see the color of your mat in between your fingers. Knees under hips, toes can be flat on the mat or they can be tucked, whichever is more comfortable for you. Broadening out through your collarbones, shining your heart forward. Let's just take a couple of rounds of cat-cow. Inhaling here, drop your belly, lift your gaze, broaden through your collarbones for our cow pose. Exhale, rounding, hollowing out your belly, pressing down into the mat through your knuckles for cat. Inhale, drop your belly, lift your gaze. Think of someone pulling your tailbone up to the sky with a string, broadening through those collarbones. Exhale and round into the shape of a letter C. One more time. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the gaze, shine your heart forward, cow. And exhale, pressing and rounding for cat. Then come to a neutral tabletop. And let's just start to warm our hips up a little bit. So just take your right leg out to the side like you were, like a dog peeing on a fire hydrant. And just make some hip circles, one direction, and then maybe the other direction. And bring that right leg down. Let's do the same thing with the left, bringing that left knee up and just circling the hip one direction. And then switching. And bringing your knee down. Back to our tabletop position. Take your hands forward about a palm's distance. Tuck your back toes. Inhale here, lifting your hips, lifting your knees, up off the mat. And then as you exhale, pressing up to downward facing dog. Feet, hips width distance apart. Bend your knees generously for this first down dog. Really let your tailbone reach towards the sky, creating a long line of energy that starts at your tailbone, runs down your spine, and comes out the crown of your head. Engage your belly, your hands shoulder width distance apart, or maybe even gives you more stability. Taking your upper arms and turning them inward towards your ears and allowing your head to hang so that your ears are in line with your upper arms. Pedal your feet out if you would like. Any intuitive movements that feel good to you. Maybe bending both knees and twisting side to side. And when you're ready, come to stillness in your downward facing dog. Inhale, looking at the top of your mat. Take as many steps as you need to come to the top of the mat, placing your feet hips width distance apart, bending your knees generously, letting your upper body drape over your thighs, grabbing opposite elbows for a ragdoll fold, letting gravity just pull you down, long back, head is heavy, maybe rocking side to side or back and forth. And when you come to stillness, keep your weight forward into the balls of your feet, feeling a stretch up the back of your legs, inhaling and exhaling. And one more time, inhaling And exhaling, letting your hands come down to the mat, bending your knees as you inhale, rolling slowly vertebra by vertebra up to standing in Tadasana. Take a look at your feet. Make sure that they're still hips width distance apart. Toes are facing forward, heels directly behind your toes. Bending your knees, little micro bend in the knees, engaging your belly, and letting your tailbone lengthen down towards your heels. Long spine. Palms are facing forward, taking your shoulders, rolling your shoulders up to your ears, and then gliding them down your back. Collarbones nice and broad, and you're gazing straight forward in Tadasana or mountain pose. Inhale here, reach your arms up to the sky, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hinge forward from your hip creases, coming down to forward fold, Uttanasana, bending your knees as much as you need. Inhale, glide your shins and palms together, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana, pressing your shins into your palms into your shins. Think of your tailbone yearning back, crown of head yearning forward. You're making the shape of a number 7. Inhale here, exhale and fold. Inhale, taking your right foot back in space, letting that right knee melt down to the mat. Untuck your toes. Inhale here, lifting up into our low lunge, Anjaneyasana. Hands up above to the sky, or perhaps down here on your thigh. Look for a 90-degree angle between your front leg and ankle. Squeeze your inner thighs together. Inhale, lift, lengthen, and then as you exhale, maybe sink a little lower into that hip. Inhale here, and exhale. Inhale, bring your hands down to the mat, rock back onto your left heel, toes facing up to the sky for a half split, keeping that little bend in your knee. Inhale, lengthen through your spine, and as you exhale, fold down over that leg. Think of your left hip yearning back, right hip yearning forward, keeping your hips straight as possible towards the front of your mat. Inhale, lengthen here. Exhale and fold. One more time. Inhale, lengthen long through your spine. Exhale and fold. Walk your hands forward, come back onto your front foot, tuck your back toes, lift your back knee. Take a look at your feet and make sure you're on railroad tracks. So your feet are hips width distance apart or even a little bit wider if you feel like you need that stability. Engage your belly. We're coming up to high lunge, rooting down into your feet. Inhale here, exhale, lifting up to our high lunge. Once again, squeezing your inner thighs together, looking for that 90-degree angle between your front knee and ankle. If you need to, you can bend your back leg, and then maybe when you feel ready, scooch that leg out back on the ball of your foot of your back leg. Inhaling here. Exhale, one more time. Inhale. Exhale. Now bring your hands down to your hips. Take your back foot and just bring it in a little bit and turn your back toes out. You're still on your railroad tracks. So the toes of your back foot are go at a diagonal, facing up towards the corner of your room. Inhale here, lengthen through your spine, and then as you exhale, hinge forward from your hip creases again. Keep a bend in that front knee, coming down to a pyramid pose. Bend that front knee as much as you need to let your hands come down to the mat. Inhaling here, and exhale. Once again, left hip yearns back, right hip yearns forward, keeping your hips square to the front of the mat. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Now bend your front knee. Take your hands, walk them around towards the back of your mat, coming into a wide-legged forward fold. So your toes are in slightly, heels are out slightly, slightly pigeon-toed. Bending your knees if you need to, keeping that micro bend though always so that you don't lock your knees out. Palms or fingertips come down to the mat. Inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale and fold down. Perhaps keeping your hands right underneath of your face, or if you would like, you can walk them back a little further, even turn the palms around if you would like. Keeping your weight more forward into the balls of your feet. Inhaling here and exhaling. Inhale and exhale. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. Take your hands, walk yourself back around to the front of the mat so you're back into your runner's lunge with the right leg back. Inhale here, and then as you exhale, bring the right foot up to the top of the mat to meet your left, and forward fold. Halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana, number 7 shape, and fold. Rooting to rise, bringing your hands down, around and up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, bringing your hands to prayer at heart center. Now let's repeat that on the other side. Inhale, arms come up to the sky, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hinge forward from your hip creases, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana, number 7. Exhale and fold. Inhale, taking that left foot back in space, letting that left knee melt down to the mat. Untuck your toes, engage your belly, squeeze your inner thighs together. Inhale, and as you exhale, lifting up to your low lunge. Anjaneyasana, 90-degree angle between knee and ankle. Squeeze your inner thighs together. Inhale, reach, get long. Exhale, maybe sink a little further into that hip. Inhale, bring your hands down to the mat, and as you exhale, rock back onto that right heel, toes facing forward, slight bend in the knee. Inhale, get long. Exhale, fold over. Left hip yearning back, right hip perhaps forward tiny bit, keeping a nice straight line from your hips towards the front. Inhale, walking forward, setting up for our high lunge. Feet hips width distance apart, railroad tracks. Rooting down into your feet, engage your belly. Inhale, lifting up to your high lunge. Perhaps bending that back knee if you need to. Scooching it back, bending deeply into that front leg. Inhale and exhale. Bringing your hands to your hips, take that back foot, scooch it in a little bit, toes on a diagonal of that back foot. Hips are square to the front. Inhale, lengthen and get long through your spine. Exhale, forward fold, pyramid pose. Slight bend in that front knee. Pressing that right hip back, left hip forward slightly. Inhale, lengthen, get long. Exhale and fold. With every inhale we lengthen, and every exhale we maybe fold a little deeper. One more inhale, get nice and long. Exhale and fold. Bending into that front knee, take your hands, walk them to the sides, back into your wide-legged forward fold. Slight bend in those knees. Inhale, get long, come halfway up. Exhale and fold. Perhaps maybe this time taking your hands out onto the tops of your feet, or maybe grabbing your big toes with your peace fingers and letting your weight come slightly forward into the balls of your feet. Inhaling here. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. If your hands were on your feet, bring them back underneath of your face, and then turn your hands to the front of the mat, coming back into your runner's lunge. And inhale here. Now this time exhale, and as you exhale, step back to downward facing dog. Maybe pedal your feet out a little bit. Take a couple of breaths here. And then we'll move on. Inhale, taking your right foot up to the sky, pinky toe spiraling down towards your mat. Inhale here, and as you exhale, rock forward, shoulders over wrists. Right knee comes to the nose, stepping through or assisting yourself through into a low lunge. Now, heel toe your right foot over to the edge of your mat, bringing your hands inside of your right leg for a lizard pose. You can keep yourself up here on that back toe, maybe rock back and forth a little bit to get yourself into the pose a little more. And you can stay right here if you would like. If you'd like to go a little deeper, let that back knee come down, untuck the toes, and this would be step 2. You could stay right here, or if you'd like to go a little bit more down, take your hands and elbows down to the mat. Back foot straight behind you. And think of that back leg. Think of that inner thigh spiraling up towards the ceiling slightly. Holding here for a few breaths. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling one more time. If you were down onto your elbows, come back up onto your palms and heel toe that foot back to the center of your mat. Inhale, and then as you exhale, shift back. We're going to go back into our half splits, staying like we were, or if you'd like to take it a little deeper, tuck your back toes and just let your hips fall back onto that back heel, keeping your hands at either side of your leg, or you can take them back behind you, up on your fingertips like little spider fingers. Inhale, getting long, and then exhale, folding down. Taking a few breaths here. Inhale, walk your hands back up to the mat, top of the mat. Tuck your back toes, lift your back knee, stepping back to downward facing dog. Repeating on the left side, inhale, left foot comes up to the sky, pinky toes spiraling down towards your mat. Inhale, rocking forward, shoulders over wrists, left knee comes to your nose, and you can step or assist it through into your low lunge. Heel toe the left foot to the edge of the mat, bringing your hands inside that leg. Staying here if you would like for your lizard pose, maybe rocking back and forth. Maybe coming down onto the knee and untucking the toes. And maybe coming down onto the elbows. Few breaths here. Come back up onto the palms of your hands if you were down on your elbows. Heel toe your foot back towards the center of your mat. Inhale here, and as you exhale, rock back onto the heel of your left foot. Staying here, or if you'd like to go a little deeper, tuck the toes of your back foot and let your hips sit back onto that back heel with your hands on either side of your leg, or perhaps coming back behind you up on your spider fingers. Wherever you are, inhale, exhale, and lengthen down over that front leg. Pausing for just a few breaths here, inhaling and exhaling. Inhale, walk your hands back up towards the top of your mat. Come back onto that left foot. Tuck your toes if they're not on your back leg. Lift your back knee. Inhale here, and then exhale, stepping back to downward facing dog. Dropping your knees down to the mat into our tabletop position. Getting ready for pigeon pose. Taking your right knee, bringing it up in between your hands with your knee behind your right wrist. Your back leg gets long back down behind you. And come to sit. Now, if this is not comfortable for you, you're more than welcome to lay back down on your back and do the supine pigeon version that we did at the beginning of class. Otherwise, sit up and try to straighten your hips towards the top of your mat. If you find that you have space in between that right hip and your mat, you can take a pillow or even a blanket, fold it up underneath of that to bring the floor up to you. Inhale here, get long through your spine, and you can stay here if you would like. And exhale if you want, and fold forward. Taking a few breaths here. One more inhale. One more exhale. Walk your hands back. Come back up into your tabletop position. Take that right leg, bring it back up to the side, and let's just do a few more hip circles with your right hip. Any kind of movement that feels good to you right here that you feel that you need. And coming back to table. So let's go for our pigeon on the other side. So take that left knee up behind the left wrist. Your leg at a diagonal. So think of that left leg coming down in more towards your groin. That foot nice and relaxed. Right leg extends out behind you. Try to center yourself. If you need something underneath this left hip, grab your pillow or your blanket to support yourself a little more. Inhale, lengthen and get long. Exhale, and if you would like, fold forward. Breathing here. And let's walk our hands back up and come back to our tabletop position. Take that left leg up and just make circles with that knee. And then in the other direction. And come back down to our table. Now just come and sit back onto your knees and just take your hips over to one side. And swing your legs out in front of you. Both legs out long. Little bend in your knees. Toes facing the ceiling. Engage your belly here. And if you're having trouble keeping a nice neutral spine, take that blanket or your pillow and maybe sit up on top of it, elevating your hips up a little bit to keep a nice long neutral spine. Collarbones are broad. Inhale, bring your arms up to the sky. Exhale, hinge forward for our forward fold. Inhale, get long through your spine. Exhale, fold a little deeper. Taking a few breaths here. And let's walk our hands back up. Let's bend our knees, bringing our feet flat on the mat. Sit up nice and tall. Engage your belly, long, flat back. Inhale. And then as you exhale, slowly, one vertebra at a time, begin to roll down to laying supine on your mat. Now we're going to go into a version of a cow face pose. So a reclined cow face pose, my favorite way to do this pose. So take your right knee, cross it over your left, and then bring your knees in to your chest, taking your hands and placing them either on your feet or on your ankles, or even on your shins perhaps. But wherever you hold on, inhale, and then as you exhale, bring that knee closer to your chest and maybe gently, gently tug on your feet, yearning them apart from each other. Inhaling and exhaling. I love this version of cow face pose. Feels so good. All right, and let's switch sides. So taking your left knee and crossing it over your right, bringing your left knee into your chest, grabbing your foot, your ankles, or your calves. Inhaling, bringing that knee closer to your chest, and perhaps gently tugging your feet away from each other. And let's bring our feet back down to the mat, pressing into the soles of your feet. Scoot your hips over to the right side of your mat slightly. Bring your knees into your chest and then just gently let them fall over to the left for a twist. Few breaths here. And using your abdominal muscles, bring your knees back into your chest. Plant your feet on the mat. Scoot your feet over to the left a little bit, bringing your knees into your chest, and then folding over to the right. Your head can turn to face your left arm if that is comfortable for your neck. And we'll take a few breaths here. Bring your knees back into your chest. Give your knees a little hug. Take your feet up to the ceiling, up to the sky, bending your knees. One last happy baby, perhaps rocking back and forth, giving your low back a nice massage. Whatever movements feel good to you right now, whatever you feel your body needs. And then as you're ready, bring your knees into your chest and extend your legs out long for Shavasana. Final resting pose. The pose where all the beautiful stretching that we just did integrates into your body, and your body just absorbs the benefits of your practice. I'm going to leave you here in your Shavasana. I encourage you to stay here as long as you can. Thank you all so much for joining me. Thank you for the honor of sharing practice with me today. I wish you all love and blessings. Namaste.